Afternoon hours in the Coachella Valley. Showers expected, highs in the mid-50s. I'm forecaster Jimmy O'Neill for Smart Talk 1490 KMET.
Welcome back. Yes, it is the morning show here on ABC News Radio KMET 1490 AM. We're glad to have you on this beautiful day. The last days of really the days before we go, okay, what's next for 2022? I'm not ready for 2022, just so you know. I want to be ready for 2022, but I don't know exactly if I'm fully ready, if that makes any sense. And if you're ready, then let us know on social media, in the chat room. We appreciate you. Some of you have been with us ever since we started broadcasting in this way. I want to say thank you. Thank you for always liking whatever channel you're on. We know on the radio devices that you have, we're on 1490 AM and, of course, 98.1 FM if you're in the area of San Bernardino and or Riverside. And if you're on Alexa, you can listen always to Alexa. And if you don't have an Alexa and you might get one, you can still listen to us. Just say, Alexa, I want to listen to KMET 1490 AM, and you'll be able to hear us every single morning at 8 a.m. We're very dependable. And on my channels as well, on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and I think even Twitch we sometimes do. We got Mr. Jesse Sanchez over there. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning.
So a lot of things going on in the world. Our chat room is getting fired up. Mark Blevins is tuning in. Viviana's tuning in. Stephanie Reed's tuning in. Stephanie says, hello, happy editing this glorious snowy, chilly awesomeness busy day ahead for today. Ooh, snow. That sounds like fun. I know, unfortunately, this day is going to be sad with a lot of fans of the infamous John Madden, the Hall of Fame coach, who turned broadcaster, whose calls combined with simple explanations provided a weekly soundtrack to NFL games for 3 decades. He actually died Tuesday morning. He was 85. And anybody that knows football I'm not going to lie, I didn't really watch football as a young one, but I always knew the name because, of course, I remember playing Madden football, right? Or NFL football, right? And he, of course, I remember in certain Saturday Night Live moments, was one that I said, okay, you know, he is smart. He has fun calls. He makes it fun. Everybody thinks of Vince Scully. I remember when Vince Scully, unfortunately, left Dodgers, but everybody's like, there's no call like Vince Scully for Dodgers or baseball like Vince Scully. But Madden was that as well for a lot of people, and in many ways was able to kind of immortalize his name with Madden football, which I feel it was probably the smartest thing ever for him. But he actually was born in 1936, and when you think of yesteryear, you think, wow, what a legend, what an icon, and what a man who, although he's not here anymore, lived a very, very long life. And obviously, when you know the man and you hear the man and then you hear he's no longer here, you kind of go, shoot, right? Sometimes we don't appreciate those while they're here, but the NFL did say he died unexpectedly and did not detail a cause. He gained fame in a decade-long stint as the coach of the renegade Oakland Raiders, making it to 7 AFC title games and winning the Super Bowl following the 1976 season. He compiled a 103-32-7 regular season record, and his .759 winning percentage is the best among NFL coaches with more than 100 games. So this guy, if you remember watching him back in yesteryear of playing the game, not announcing the game, you are just like, wow, with his history. So I understand why they did Madden football, but I remember them getting his little catchphrases in Madden football. So whenever I'd make like a touchdown or a sudden win, you'd hear his voice in Madden football, and it was just a really good thing for him. And of course, he draw a huge national following with people that used to play the game. So he will always live in everybody's hearts and then some, because honestly, it's one of those things where you go, okay, his voice rings true every single time. He actually retired as coach, which he became later at age 42, and that made him a household name. He educated a football nation with his use of the telestrator on broadcasts, entertained millions with his interjections on boom and doink throughout games. He was an omnipresent pitchman. That's what the article goes on to say, selling restaurants, hardware stores, and beer. He became the face, of course, of Madden NFL football, one of the most successful sports video games of all time, and was a best-selling author. I did not know that. Very interesting. Most of all, he was a preeminent television sports analyst for most of his 3 decades calling games, winning an unprecedented 16 Emmy Awards for outstanding sports analyst, personality, and covering 11 Super Bowls for 4 networks from 1979 to 2009. Now, he said when he was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is a very prestigious title, and of course award. He said, people always ask, are you a coach or a broadcaster or a video game guy? I'm a coach. Always been a coach. So he kept it very simple and kind of to the point. He started his broadcasting career at CBS after leaving coaching in great part because of his fear of flying. He and Pat Summerall became the network's top announcing duo. Madden then helped give Fox credibility as a major network when he moved there in '94 and went on to call primetime games at ABC and NBC before retiring following Pittsburgh's thrilling 27-23 win over Arizona in the 2009 Super Bowl. Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said in a statement, I am not aware of anyone who has made a more meaningful impact on the National Football League than John Madden, and I know of no one who loved the game more. So, look, the idea of this man dying, of course, is one that I say, oh, man, are you kidding me? But at the same time, I say, wow, what a life he lived. Right, Jesse?
Right? I mean, I don't even watch football, but I know John Madden. So his name will live on for quite a few years.
Yeah, his calls definitely live on. It's one of those where, I could see several years later people go, what? He's dead? No. When did this happen, right? Because sometimes we get those on social media, right? Do you ever get those? You're like, I didn't know they died. You know what I mean?
It's true. Sometimes we forget that they're gone. Like
Yeah.
there was a moment like someone mentioned that Sean Connery passed away. I was like, what? When did he pass away? And then I'm like, oh yeah, he did pass away. Dang.
Yeah. Last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's one of those. I know sometimes I see certain ones that go, what? No, because they're icons, right? Or we see them on TV, or we just don't know, or sometimes we miss the news. And I saw this on social media, honestly, and I was like, are you kidding me? And I was like, oh. So, in memory of him, again, a lot of people do know him, and a lot of people want to be obviously thinking about those that are around them. And I still think he probably had like a couple years in him. I don't know why he died. I'm sure things will be known eventually, but I'm not gonna lie. I hope he went in his sleep. You know what I mean, and not painfully. You know what I mean? If I had to go, I'd want to go in my sleep and not painfully, right? But there you go. Obviously loved by fans and loved by many, including his own family. Lucy Sanchez over there says, good morning from Florida, or Florida, whichever you want to say. Jesse, what's going on in Florida?
Yeah, my mom, she visited Florida a few weeks back. So she'll be here next week or a few days. I can't remember when.
Okay.
So
right.
she's visiting her granddaughter.
Oh, nice.
And hopefully it's not super sweaty over there or humid, but what am I saying? It's a swamp.
Well, it is December, January, so maybe it's a little cooler than most. That's the best time to be in any swamp area, right? But yeah, you're not wrong on that. I can guarantee that. Well, Lucy, thank you for watching all the way from Florida, and that's what I love about us, because you can be in California, you could be in Florida, shoot, you could be in India, you could be anywhere and then some, just watching us. And so we appreciate all the new viewers, the existing viewers, and those that tune in, even those that sometimes can't. And I know that because we've had sometimes people go, well, I've had to work, this and that. But some watch us even after the fact. And I appreciate you guys as well. So big shout out even to Sandra Sagan, who actually watches us now. She's at another network, which is awesome. And maybe we'll have her on the show as in a few weeks just to share some cool stuff. Now, very interestingly enough, there are a lot of other things going on, and the question is, what is going on with the coronavirus? Now, there's some people asking questions, and some people are getting tested, and honestly, I'm seeing some people get false negatives, and I'm wondering what's going on. Now, this is kind of important information for some, and I only know this because, again, recently I had a few ones actually just technically have coronavirus, but they had a false negative. And what the place said is sometimes tests can come back, but you don't have enough of the virus in you, but you have it in you. Does that make sense? It's too preliminary. And I don't know why that's happening because the symptoms are still showing you have like this cold flu conglomerate. And I had somebody post this yesterday on my social media, or I should say on their social media. It came up on my Facebook. And I was like, somebody says, what's going on? Some have like cold flu symptoms, but I just got tested. I got a negative. So is there something else that I don't know? So I'm wondering if there's a variant here that we don't know about that is kind of going to be known in maybe the next few weeks. I don't know. But the idea that you need to, again, stay safe and keep away from those that are at risk is still holding true. Still do that. Okay. Now, I've had some people say, what is going on with the CDC? Why isn't now they're reducing the amount of time that you want to quarantine if you get the virus? And I'm not going to lie. I've always said this ever since last, I want to say April, March, April. I don't trust the CDC sometimes. I hate to say that. And that's just me. But if you look at their record, they go back and forth every time. And I always go back to face masks. When they said no face masks, then like 3 weeks later they said face masks, right? Now I understand when they said no face masks because they were trying to hold it to basically just nurses to have the N95s. But then after that they were like, okay, now we have supplies, go ahead and have it. So I'm always like, are you gonna keep us safe or are you not with your information? So I kind of go, it's kind of like a phone. You know when you get a phone and you get the update, you don't want to download the update just yet because it might have bugs. I always give CDC like 3 weeks of lead time and say, are you going to change it back? Because I feel like now they have interest of putting people back to work when in reality, I get that, but are you working for people's health? Or are you working for the government? Or are you going by the way of like, remember when we talked about, okay, the airports and they kind of put some pressure on the CDC to kind of reduce the quarantine level so they could get their workers back to work? Do you want somebody going back to work who has coronavirus because they're not through it, giving it to you just so that they could go back to work? I mean, let's just take the simple flu. Do you want the flu or worse yet, no, the flu with the runs, with stomach nausea, with all that, just so that they can basically put people back to work so that they don't run short on airlines or air flights? And that might be different for everybody. I'm just saying. What do you think, Jesse? You got a lot of thoughts there. I can see them on social media.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, just a bunch of conspiracy theory stuff I'd rather not talk about. But no, it's true. Everyone's getting sick. I was sick for a while. I was able to hide it well. So, and I took a COVID test. It said negative. So I don't know. Who knows what's going on?
Yeah, I'm not. Look, no one knows what to do with this. They really don't. I'm looking at some articles here, and some are like calling it out. I've seen people on social media going, "Are you crazy?" Like all of a sudden, the virus just says, "Okay." Now, I will say this. I will say this. If you take the time and do the math on the numbers of people that have gotten sick, when they quarantine, how long should they quarantine for? I understand why you would want to know a good number, because that number's kind of been touted as all over the place, right? Because in the early days, we got good information about that because we knew that even though you had it, it wouldn't be like until 3 to 4 days later you would show symptoms, and then you would probably have it in your body for another certain amount of days. So they wanted you to definitely quarantine for a full, technically 2 weeks, which is 14 days, right? Then all of a sudden, I heard people thinking it was 20 days. I go, no, it wasn't 20 days. It was 2 weeks, 14 days, right? Or was it 20 days? I don't remember because I get so much information thrown at me. So the question is, what's the new guideline? Now, we know when you go traveling, there's a mandatory initial timeline of quarantine, right? So some were going by that, and that's more than sorry, because then okay, I don't have anything, with me. Now, it's better when you test it, but I'm not going to lie. I think some of those tests are technically either you know what? I know what it is. Rapid tests. Rapid tests are causing a problem for some because they're giving a false negative. So it's kind of like a pregnancy test. You know how pregnancy tests can sometimes be like women know this, by the way, which is why some manufacturers actually have 2 tests just for you. But if you just test once and you suddenly see baby bump 3 weeks later, you're like, that test was not that right? So that's kind of how the coronavirus is acting right now. That's why, at least with like pregnancy tests, sometimes it includes 2 testers instead of 1 in case one is malfunctioning, right?
Really? I was not aware of this.
Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, it's a thing. I know.
Well, it's not like I check to see if I'm pregnant every day or something. I don't know.
Thank God, Jesse. Because if you did, I'd say, what's going on in that head of yours? But at the end of the day, COVID has swept the globe. More than 5.4 million people have died from this disease worldwide. Again, that's a huge number. That's worldwide. 5.4 million. I want to say this 100%. Million with an M. That is a number that includes all of us. That's why somebody around the world knows somebody that either has had COVID, has suddenly died of COVID, and or gotten well from COVID. Because even though that number is huge of those that have died, there's a huge number of those that have recovered. Never, ever, ever, ever remove that from your mind. However, it is the biggest thing that has hurt the majority of us all of a sudden, because it amplifies with other diseases. It hurts other people that have to see medical personnel, and it makes things just horrible, stressful, horrible, and just ugh. So, having said that, we need good news. We need reality news. We need news that says, okay, if I had the flu, I would want to not give it to others. How long would it be in my system so I don't give it to somebody else? To maybe, I don't know, my little child, which there is news about that. We'll talk about that in just a minute, right after these messages. We'll be right back.
Here's to your health with Joshua Lane. Ideas you can use to be healthy and stay healthy. The current thinking about beauty, fitness, and longevity. Every Tuesday and Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Wellness talk you can use. Here's to your health with Joshua Lane on KMET, naturally.
Take KMET 1490 AM with you everywhere you go by downloading our free smartphone apps found on the KMET website, KMET1490am.com. You can also go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store on your phone to download the free app. Now you can listen live or play any of your favorite programmers' podcasts using your smartphone. Go to KMET1490am.com and download your free phone app today.
Tried shipping a package lately? It's amazing how difficult and time-consuming it can be. Packing, envelopes, boxes, second-day ground, next-day air, it's all enough to give you a headache. Next time, do yourself a favor, go with the pros at the UPS store in Beaumont. They'll pack it right and let you know all your shipping options. You can also take care of everyday tasks like copies, faxing, notary services, and live scan fingerprinting. And while you're there, pay your Edison, gas company, and Verizon bills. Open extended hours Monday through Saturday. The UPS store in Beaumont, located in the Oak Valley Plaza at 1440 Beaumont Avenue. Call 951-769-5956. That's 951-769-5956. Online at the upsstorelocal.com/5027 or Google 5027.
For all you truck and RV enthusiasts, TruckWorks right here in Banning is your one-stop shop for the best diesel performance and overall truck and RV needs. Whether you're towing, racing, off-road, or just cruising around town, TruckWorks specializes in truck and RV service, maintenance, repair, and performance upgrades for every light and medium-duty truck manufacturer. Bring it down to Terry and the guys at TruckWorks. Call 951-922-4776 or visit their website at mydieseldown.com today.
The Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Banning is distinctively suited for your travel time out of the car. Off the road, you'll find a courteous, welcoming staff and spacious rooms with desks, flat-screen HD TVs, and comfortable furnishings. Enjoy the complimentary breakfast buffet, high-speed internet, and fitness center and pool. The Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Banning, conveniently located off the I-10 near golf, gaming, and entertainment. For reservations and information, call 951-572-5500. That's 951-572-5500, or go online at hiebanning.com.
Welcome back. Yes, it is the morning show here on ABC News Radio KMET 1490 AM, and we're looking at some of the comments on social media. I want to say thank you to everybody over there. Mark Blevins, you gave us a link. Unfortunately, the link is not working for me, so but I see air travel under attack by Patricia Sommer says if a rapid test shows positive, they are requesting a PCR test follow-up to be added to the official statistics. I did not know that, but good to know. And I think a lot of people don't have that information, so I'm glad you're an educated person. I will say this, back to what we were saying a moment ago, the decision of federal health officials to shorten isolation periods for Americans infected with the coronavirus drew tempered support and intense opposition from scientists yesterday, rightly so, particularly over the absence of a testing requirement and fears that the could hasten the spread of the highly contagious the omission could hasten the spread of the highly contagious variant. But I say forget about the variant. What about Delta? What about Alpha? What about Beta? What about Lambda? What about Mu? There are other variants, not just the that we have to be concerned about. And you don't always know which variant you have based on some of these testings. They kind of show as a positive, but they don't let you know which one you have, which I say you need to know. That way you know if you got a vaccine, which one is good for it. But if you got a vaccine in February or in March or in April of this year, of 2021, it's not in your system anymore. So you need a follow-up from that. Because I've heard of some people getting only one shot, thinking the one shot was going to keep them kind of good through all of coronavirus. It doesn't. Right, Jesse?
Yeah, just like most little vaccines, it only works for so long.
Yeah, usually 5 to 6 months. That's the average. And when we do that science, then we think, wait a minute, you understand? So some say, well, I need a second shot. And the answer is yes. Okay. Now, I waited to get my shot, and I haven't gotten coronavirus, thank goodness. My mom hasn't gotten coronavirus, thank goodness. But she got the Johnson & Johnson back in, I want to say, June or so. And then she got the second one when it came out in, I want to say, October. I could be wrong on that. And that's when I got my shot, because I waited, because I just felt I needed to wait. And based on the research I did, and I haven't gotten coronavirus, but that one is not ready for And the way I could prove that, although some people say, no, it's good for all coronavirus in their heads, is this. Pfizer literally had a conversation, I want to say now 4 weeks ago, which said, or maybe it was 3 weeks ago, it was probably less than that, I don't know. Maybe or 2 weeks ago, I don't know. But my point is, Pfizer, the CEO said, we are having a vaccine ready most likely by March, in so many words. So that one is the one that they need to manufacture a lot of. They have a pill form as well, but I think it's going to cost so much. It's going to be more for the very wealthy. And the pill form is really good. And because it's really good, it's usually a thing that if you have one of these, you can get the pill form when you have it, like I think the third day in and you know your symptoms. But it's like the hard variants, like Delta Plus. Nobody talks about Delta Plus because they just haven't put a lot of information on that. But Delta is easier to fight than Delta Plus. That's why I say just because you have coronavirus, it's kind of important to know which one you have. Then you know why they all act differently, because they all have different symptoms and you treat them all differently. Now, Healthcare workers are knowing this, but they need to know this more than they do. So if you have coronavirus, try to find out which variant you have. That way you know how to treat it. The is significantly different than the other ones. And isolation periods, back to that, is really a thing that I think is going to go back and forth the next couple of weeks, because a lot of people are going, what's wrong with you guys? According to this, letting hundreds of thousands of infected people forgo tests as well, even if crucially their symptoms were not entirely gone, risks seeding new cases and heaping even more pressure on already overburdened health systems. That's according to experts that said that Tuesday. The new guidance, coming amid a crush of new infections that has starved many hospitals of workers, seemed to some scientists like a necessary step to shore up workforces in essential industries. So it's almost like we're dying, but we want you guys to get back to work quicker. But are you thinking about the masses? And then if you do that, you see how it's kind of like all over the place, but it's not consistent? Why I say we need more nurses and more doctors?
Yeah, it kind of feels like, I don't want to say it, but like someone's playing like a video game with everybody, and it's just like, I don't know. Everyone's flip-flopping on all these roles. I don't like it.
It's almost a good way to say it. It's almost like, yeah, like we're Sims, and whoever's at the controls there, hello, we're just like, right? Economy down, everything down. Who the heck is doing that to us?
Honestly, it feels like the government does that sometimes. It's so like, oh, we're messing with it. It's just like it feels like they got a giant map and they're like, oh, wow, let's do something over here.
Yeah, I sometimes feel like that. Yeah, I'm not. Sometimes I feel like, God, can you step in and remove that map from the evil one? Seriously. Jonathan Grad said this. To me, this feels honestly more about economics than about the science. See, and that's a good way to look at it. He's an associate professor of immunology and infectious diseases at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, who has tracked coronavirus infections in the NBA. Interesting. He says, I suspect that it will do. Let's see. I think this is a typo. Is a result in at least some people emerging from isolation more quickly. Oh, when people emerge from isolation more quickly, more people will get it, is what he's trying to say. So there'll be more opportunities for transmission, and that, of course, will accelerate the spread of COVID, noting that people were unlikely to adhere strictly to masking advice after leaving isolation, which is true, right? Dr. Rochelle Walensky, director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, said that the new guidance has been necessitated by the volume of people about to be infected. I don't understand their logic. I really don't. In a series of holiday weekend meetings, she said agency officials poured over transmissibility data for past variants and signs that caused less severe illness. It's too new. How could they say that? It's too new. It's only been here for the last, maybe 3 to 4 weeks? Well, she decided that rapid tests were not effective enough at diagnosing infectiousness in people. Oh my God. I'm telling you, the CDC is not the ones to save us at the end of the day. The World Health Organization, yes. The CDC, I don't know why they disagree. But, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, I do not agree with the CDC when they come out with things right away, and usually they renege again and again. The CDC were also the ones that didn't want us to get a booster shot. Remember that? They were the ones like, no, we're pretty sure it's not going to be necessary. I'm like, are you kidding me? You got to be ready for the new variants. It's like flu or influenza. Influenza has new variants every single year, but they pop up just like the regular standard cold. The reason you and I can get a cold at any given time is that is a virus, but it mutates again and again and again. So our body fights it off one way, but it doesn't fight it off another way, which is why you need to keep your immune system up all the time to be able to fight it. That way, if your friend does get it, hopefully you get it, but you fight it off quicker. Does that make sense? Like, I've met people that say, I haven't gotten a flu in like years, or I haven't gotten a cold in years, but if you get a bad strain of it, your body says, gotta fight it. But your body fights it off because it has the immune system of you that feels good. Unless, of course, you have AIDS or HIV. Now, you can't fight it. That's why you don't want to be sick around somebody with AIDS. Does that make sense?
No, it does. Since we're guys, we get the more deadlier man flu version, so we know how it feels.
Yeah, pretty much. So there you go. It is what it is. I'm telling you, things are just weird. And I say, you know what? No longer let it be weird. Just understand this is the situation as we see it. The CDC's recommendations cut isolation periods for infected people from 10 days to 5. I don't even know how it went from 10 days. I thought it was 14 days. Wasn't it 14 days? Some people thought it was 20 days. I think it's 14 days, 2 weeks. So they went from 10 days. I don't know when they went to 10 days, now to 5. The agency did not recommend rapid testing before people left isolation. Some scientists maintain that rapid tests are the most convenient indication of whether or not someone remains contagious. Okay, I'm just going to make a moment right here. I understand what's going to happen in the next few months now. People are going to say, good, it's only 5 days. Yay, that's new science. They don't even think to research it. And what's going to happen in the next 3 to 4 months is people are going to get sicker, sicker, and sicker from coronavirus. And because it's a deadly agent, it's going to transmit more and more and more and more. Evidently, lockdowns are not going to occur. So some would say, thank God. But for the average person who does get sick, guess what? More and more variants are going to happen in the next probably anywhere from 3 weeks to 8 weeks. We're going to see a few new strains, guaranteed. Because if people only stay like that to 5 days, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Now, the smart ones will say, I'm going to stay for 14 days. But some employers are going to say, nope, that's what the CDC says. CDC, get your act together, seriously. I'm going to say this. I don't know who knows somebody at the CDC. But obviously, think about it. If you don't show symptoms for 3 or 4 days, but it could be in your body for a full 2 weeks, why would you reduce it down to only basically 5 days? Which we all know people are going to say, well, it's the third day, good. Everybody's going to go back to work, Jesse. And they're going to go back to work and they're going to give it to us.
That's the reason why. Because everyone is out of work, so they're paying the CDC to lower it so they can get back to work sooner. No, I'm just playing that to something I made up. Don't believe me.
No, I believe that. I believe that. It is in the wrong place. It's called greed. Greed over lives. That's what I'm going to say. I have no problem saying that. It's greed over lives. I know it. I can sense it. And there you go. And I'm not going to lie. I haven't gotten coronavirus, but I know people that have. And when they do, and they maintain it for at least 14 days, and they don't want to get their family member sick, or grandma sick, or their kids sick, they isolate away from the rest of the kids, right? So, it's not fun. I say get a VR headset. Like I said, I have friends. I said, hey, for the next so many days, don't be around grandma. Grandma can be contagious, or not contagious. You could give it to her, and she could be in the hospital because she doesn't know how to fight that. But there you go. Okay, social media. Let's see. Patricia. Yeah, she agrees. She says, thank you, Kevin, for watching. Says, inconsistent with information has caused most of the issues with resistance to become vaccinated. People are confused, and confusion causes fear. You know what I would say, though? What is the world doing? Right? If you go to Europe or, I don't know, Russia, do they get the same information? I don't think so. So are they going to say, in essence, you guys are dumb, man. We isolate for a good 2 weeks when we have coronavirus. Do you understand? So are we the nation that's going to be looked at as dumb? I would say yes, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Okay, you know what? I don't know. Like, how do other countries view us? Someone, you know how we see on TV, you know, those videos or those commercials where it's all like, donate to this country so that they can help the poor, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Okay. So apparently they have those commercials, but for us in other countries.
Gotcha. Please donate to us because we're dumb.
I'm just like,
we
what?
listen to stupid people known as the CDC. Seriously, the CDC, get your head together. If you guys get it, test it on yourselves before you test it on the rest of the nation. They actually listen to you as those people. Okay, Patricia says the more the virus mutates, the greater risk of the vaccines not being effective. Yes, and yes, Patricia. Thank you for saying that. There you go. Steffi says, I'm just ready for 2022 because I'm hoping to get this full-time hybrid video editor job that they viewed my application last night, wrote out, and sent a follow-up on my application. Stephanie, stay safe over there, okay? We got to take a quick little break. We'll be back with more right after these messages. Stay tuned.
If you are facing criminal charges, your entire future is at stake. You need to act now to protect your job, your family, and your freedom. Call Wallen and Claridge at 877-4NO-JAIL. Wallen and Claridge has over 30 years of experience in fighting for our clients' rights. With local offices in Riverside and San Bernardino, we are here to help you now. Call 877-4NO-JAIL or go to wklaw.com. How much is your freedom worth? Call 877-466-5245. The call is free. Will you be?
Join West Coast Business Review with Daryl McCants each Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock p.m. Daryl focuses on successful businesses from California's southern border to Canada, including the great border states of Arizona and Nevada. Every week, Daryl provides in-depth discussions and interviews with prominent leaders and innovators that makes all of our lives better and more productive. West Coast Business Review with Daryl McCants, Wednesdays at 4 o'clock p.m. right here on Smart Talk Radio.
When you want the best performance for your vehicle, think only of Scott's Headers and Mufflers in Beaumont, right off the I-10 and 60 freeways. Check out Scott's complete list of performance products on their website at hdrinfo.com. Scott's Headers and Mufflers can recommend ways for your car or truck to get better gas mileage and cut down on emissions. Need your car or truck to pass smog only? Go to Scott's Headers and Mufflers in Beaumont. Find out all of your questions on vehicle performance by logging on to hdrinfo.com. Scott's Headers and Mufflers in Beaumont, hdrinfo.com.
Are you paying rent because you think you cannot afford to live in your dream home? Are you renting because you don't believe that you have the down payment funds to purchase your own home? The Siegel lending team at ronismylender.com has up to $25,000 to help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. Contact the Siegel lending team today at ronismylender.com. Again, ronismylender.com, license under NMLS 217037. ronismylender.com.
Ruth didn't know she was leaving for good. She knew he would kill her. Could she save herself? Did she feel she was worth saving? How could she best protect her children? To love, honor, and betray, Ruth Tunnicliffe shares her true tale, from submissive to survivor, then thriver, now living a proud, purposeful life as an optimistic, inspiring, peaceful warrior. Can a person heal from feeling the guilt of a decision altering many lives, weighted by living grief, moving through lessons learned, self-discovery, and land in self-love? Can someone who's been abused in every way move to self-trust, confidence, and arrive at living in peace? To love, honor, and betray, a sincere, honest letter to herself and her adult children, Ruth Tunnicliffe shares her story so that others may also find the inspiring, peaceful warrior within. Amazon worldwide, Barnes & Noble, RuthTunnicliffe.com.
Welcome back. Yes, it is the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. We really do appreciate all of you. Rosalie Huerta says, running in late. Good morning, everyone. Hey, as long as we can have you, even better. Viviana says, New Zealand has been on lockdown for, wow, that long? For a long, well, yeah. But New Zealand does it right. New Zealand does it the moment a variant comes out, and if they have like 1 or 2 cases, they go, okay, lockdown. We're going to do it. We're going to do it for right. And they do that. And I'm not going to lie, it's the Lord of the Rings, like lovely area. Everybody knew about New Zealand after Lord of the Rings because they're like, it is gorgeous there, right, Jesse?
Right, it is. But what you got to remember is New Zealand is an island, and it's not filled with a bunch of crazy people.
Yeah, you know what? Thank you for saying that. Yeah, and the New Zealand lady in charge is very smart, okay? She goes the next level. And those that actually are, there are, like, I think 3 countries that technically do not have full-blown coronavirus like we do. And each and every one of them have one thing in common. And I guarantee you within about 8 years, it's going to take us that long because the smart ones don't think like this. There are going to be people that say, how come those countries are thriving when we're not? And then they're going to say, well, it's simple. They did the hard math and they did the lockdown and then they came to support their people because that's what matters at the end of the day. And if other ones looked at those, they would say, you know what, it makes sense, and you just do a mandatory, literally like you just said, lockdown the moment it becomes apparent. But that's why we're not done with coronavirus, because there's so many different variants going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's why during this last holiday, now people are getting sick from that as well, because some people didn't know who had coronavirus in between. Now, I went to an event as well, but I went to an event and I wore my face mask when I felt I needed to wear my face mask. And then there were other times when people are eating and just associating. I go, okay, but you have to show your vaccination card at the door. But even though they see your vaccination card, they really don't pay attention to when you got vaccinated. So some might use their vaccination card from technically February, March, or April. They get to get in, but it's not effective in their body. So of course they may even be passing coronavirus to other people. So there's no foolproof way. Does that make sense? Which is why I think in the next so much time, we're going to have coronavirus around still. And by this time next year, 2022, we're still going to be talking about it. And people are sick and tired of it. But there's a lot of things it's causing in our world that we need to get ahead of. Financially, we're going to need to get ahead of what's going to come with businesses. There's going to be more businesses closing each and every day. I'm already saying this because they don't have the money to pay back the rent due, and no one understands why they haven't closed. They haven't closed because technically there was a moratorium on businesses closing. So businesses are going to be closing left, right, and center because they cannot pay down that debt. That just goes without saying. So all your small mom and pop shops that are still open, that are open limited hours because of coronavirus, are not having the funds to be able to pay rent. And for some reason, rent keeps going up when it should stay what it was before coronavirus. That would be the smart thing. But that's not what people are doing. They're raising the rent, trying to pay their bills, so they think they could raise the rent, when in reality, they're not going to get money in the end anyway, because nobody's going to be able to buy that piece of land. I just went by a good piece of land in Norwalk, actually, which was a Walmart that closed down. And I'm like, I want to make that into a movie theater. Like, if I had the money, of course, right? Because it's the right amount of space for the area. And I was like, okay. But for Walmart to close down, who's going to take that location again? Now, I will say there's going to be smart investors, which have been holding on to their money before coronavirus, because they make opportunity when there are problems in just life. There's going to be smart investors to buy homes probably in the next 3 to 4 months, because I've been talking to realtors that are ready for the big surge of all of a sudden homes that now the banks could finally say, hello, we want our money back, but they're going to be able to kick people out 100%. There's a lot of landlords that haven't paid their rent and they're behind because maybe they lost their job, maybe their source of income changed, maybe they're in the service industry. You think, oh, they're making a lot of money. Some are not because they work part-time. They don't work full-time. Maybe they're trying to go to school as well. So all this debt is piling. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody wants to say the biggest thing of all, we need to save our businesses. If our businesses are saved, the economy keeps going. If we could save our businesses and we say, look, due to coronavirus, all of us have had to muscle through that. Why don't we reduce it and or make small payment plans in order to keep everybody open? But as I've seen it, everybody's hours have been cut so short. Some are closing at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Well, you can't have anybody go where you got to go because people are still working during the day, and then by the time they get there, it's closed. I don't know if you've been to any stores, you're like, really? They're closed? It's like, do you know what I mean? That's when people spend their money. Do you understand?
No, I know what you mean, because I have noticed a lot of places have been closing early. A lot of restaurants have been closing early. They haven't been staying up later. So it's sad.
Yeah, and so if you can't get more customers, you can't raise the prices too much, because if you raise the prices too much, nobody's going to want to go there anyway. I'd rather go to Taco Bell, to be honest. You know, I could get more from my buck at Taco Bell than I can at some restaurants. And that's just the reality. And that's a sad thing that we're seeing. So you have to be careful. You have to look at world news, and then you'll understand what's happening around the world. Speaking of which, the World Health Organization, the number of COVID cases recorded worldwide increased by 11% last week compared with the previous week, with nearly 4.99 million newly reported from December 20th to the 26th. Those are reported cases. Okay, new cases in Europe, which accounted for more than half of the total, were up 3%, while those in the Americans, us, rose 39%. What? Nobody knows that news. And there was a 7% increase in Africa. The global gain followed a gradual increase since October. So in essence, Jesse, according to the World Health Organization, I tell you, CDC does not pay attention. Here in the Americas, we rose 39%. In Europe, they were only up 3%. We're beating everybody in something. Coronavirus, yay! We got it in massive trouble.
Hey, USA, USA.
We're so stupid. Okay, Tedros said at an online news conference, I'm highly concerned that being more transmissible and circulating at the same time as Delta is leading to a tsunami of cases. That's what he says. He said that will put immense pressure on exhausted health workers and health systems of the brink of collapse. The World Health Organization said in its weekly epidemiological report that the overall risk related to remains very high. It cited consistent evidence that it has a growth advantage over the Delta variant. So I'm going to go back to obvious now. Based on the information that we were kind of saying earlier, now that people are going to do what CDC says, because we all know everybody wants to not be in quarantine for 14 days, right? 14 days is 2 full weeks, right? So if you have coronavirus, that's like, oh, goodness. People were doing it at home. People are doing it in the school system. Oh, by the way, did you know USC and other ones, in fact, because I know somebody that just went to University of Irvine, are going back to virtual and not in-person classes? Did you know that?
No, I did not know that. I'm surprised the news hasn't told anybody yet.
Yeah, I had to research it because I didn't know that, and the one who actually got coronavirus, she's isolating away from her grandma, said that to me, and I was like, I didn't even know that. So school systems are going back in that way, but nobody is consistently saying, hey, people, we're on this tier. Nobody's doing that. What the heck are you doing, Newsom? I'm now with everybody else who says, recall Newsom, because you're not doing anything of the things that you did prior to your re-election. What's going on? How did he change? It's like they're like a new Newsom all of a sudden. So I don't know what California is in for, but I feel like California is going by the way of, oh, we're just gonna go back to work and make sure we all work and just get everybody sick and more. So the next 3 to 4 months, I say, be careful. If you get coronavirus, try, please, to at least go 14 days. It was 14 days. It wasn't 10 days. I don't know where they're getting their math on. It's weird. But what are you thinking, Jesse?
Yeah, money talks.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Money rules the world. So as long as we have money, yeah, things will just be weird. So,
but isn't it weird that they have that mentality? Because at the end of the day, if you want more money, you need to keep more people alive. When people die, you have less money to spend. Doesn't that make sense?
It does make sense, but you know what? They want money now, so
yeah, I know. I see that.
Like, it'll be weird, like, to see somebody from the CDC drop out and then get hired by a pharmaceutical company. I'd be like, that's not sketchy, right?
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that. What do you mean by that?
No, just like it just, you never know who's being paid off and stuff like that. So it'd be suspicious to see like somebody drop out of the CDC in a year or so and then mysteriously pop up as a executive for a pharmaceutical company. Either that or I'm just making stories up. But it'd be interesting, right?
I think it makes for a good story. Yeah, I think so. I think, look, whoever is giving information to the CDC, stop, okay? Look at the world, look at the numbers, look at the transmission, look at future, meaning the next 3 to 4 years, okay? I'll give you a perfect example. I always think future based on what's happening now. If we go by the way of, shoot, they'll probably take it down to 3 days. Isolate for 3 days, right? But let's say you get it. It doesn't show up in you for another 3 to 4 days. You isolate for at least 3 to 5 days. Now you think you're fine, but by then, at the end of it, you're not fine because it's still in your system. You're still hacking up a loogie, literally. You're like, coughing. You're like all kinds of things. You're spraying it again and again and again. Now, granted, face masks only work so much. I'm the first one to say I wear a face mask. But people wear literally cloth. They wear just whatever they wear. They don't wear true N95s, which reduces significantly. Is not 100% foolproof. I go for that. Cleaning, washing your hands, doing the optimum thing. I can see CDC saying at some point, does washing your hands really work? You know what I mean? That's kind of where they're at when it comes down to isolation. So I look, I'm the first one to say I don't want to isolate. Do you want to isolate? I don't want to isolate. But if I got it, I wouldn't want to give it to my mom, who could be sick from it. Does that make sense?
That is true. Yeah, no, isolation. I'm okay with isolation because I'm an introvert. I love being by myself.
Well, it's called video games for days, right? That's what I would do. Shoot, that's what I have a headset. I'd be like, fine, I'm in my room 24/7. I mean, I've had to do that when I had chicken pox. It's like, you know what? It's like getting chicken pox and then going out and spraying it to everybody. Do you want everybody to spread chicken pox to you?
Yeah, no.
It's like that. I think if people thought of it that way, when you have chicken pox, you want to stay isolated from everybody because it's highly contagious. You don't want to give people chicken pox, right? It's itchy. It sucks. Oh, man, I hated it. I think I was like 15 at the time. But chicken pox, technically, if you kind of think of coronavirus the same way, you want to stay away from people. Period, end of story. So I think I'm going to say it like that. But I still think people are going to hate it when I say it. Some people get weird when you tell them stuff like that. Patricia Sommer in social media says, if this goes on much longer, COVID ID cards that may be scanned and matched with a database as proof of vaccination status. I do everything home delivery except when I have to go for healthcare. Well, I'm not going to lie. There are more places that ask me for my card, and I have my card, and they say, well, we'll trust it if it's on your phone. But I say this. How do you know I'm not making it up? How do you know it's not, Jesse's? And I just, you know what I mean? Hey, Jesse, really quick, we're going to take a picture of yours, pretend you're me. The kids do that sort of thing,
It really is. It's a slippery slope right now. So hopefully we don't take the wrong path.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, let's see. Patricia goes on to say, those changes seem to be more in response to the travel industry not showing up to fly the planes to move people stranded from flight cancellations. I think it's them and others who have a financial interest to say, hey, we need our workers to go back to work. This 14-day thing is really killing us. When in reality, you do it to the ones that have to travel from place to place to place to place because countries don't want you in their country for long if you're coming from Americas, and that's where I think we're going in the next 3 to 4 months. I guarantee others are going to say, we do it. Why don't you do it? What kind of mentality are you guys in over there in America? Because we're not going to do that. We've been doing the same thing we've been doing because we listen to the World Health Organization. That makes more sense about, 14 days. Not 14 days. Anyway, I'm out of time. Make it a great day. We love each and every one of you. Stay tuned for more. Just type it in. KMET 1490 AM on all networks. We'll be back tomorrow. Same place, same channel. Bye-bye, everyone.